It was a crisp autumn morning at the White House when U.S. President Donald Trump welcomed Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney for what many observers described as a meeting poised to blend diplomatic warmth with hard bargaining. Cameras clicked as the two leaders shook hands, exchanging smiles that belied the thorny issues on the agenda. From the outset, the atmosphere suggested both ceremony and strategy, a calculated public display before the serious business behind closed doors. Donald Trump began in his characteristically direct style. Well, thank you very much, everybody. An honour to have the Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, who I have made very popular, he said with a grin, drawing some polite laughter in the room. He went on to add, he's an extremely popular Prime Minister, and I'm very honoured to do it because I liked him right from the beginning. I've liked him and we've had a good relationship. We have some natural conflict, but we'll probably work that out. But we've had a very strong relationship. His words reflected both a personal rapport and the pragmatic acknowledgement that the two nations, while close allies, often find themselves at odds over trade. The President shifted to a note of appreciation, referencing Carney's role in hosting an earlier international gathering. Your hosting of the various countries that showed up was a beautiful job you did. I appreciate it very much, he said. The praise set a tone of goodwill before delving into weightier subjects. Trump made it clear that the meeting would not just be about pleasantries. He announced, we're going to be talking about trade, we're going to be talking about a lot of different things. We'll certainly be talking about Gaza. We're in very serious negotiations to, depending on the way you count, 3,000 years, you could say 500 years, you could say, but it's been raging for a long time. And I think there's a possibility that we could have peace in the Middle East. It's something even beyond the Gaza situation. We want a release of the hostages immediately. The President's mention of the long-running conflict drew quiet attention. For months, the Middle East crisis had dominated headlines, and now Trump was linking the bilateral meeting with Canada to that urgent international challenge. He added, our team is over there now. Another team just left, and other countries, literally every country in the world, has supported the plan. I don't think there's anybody that hasn't actually, not that I've seen, but there's a real chance that we could do something. With that, he hinted at optimism that decades of failed attempts at Middle East peace might be approaching a turning point. Having set the stage, Trump gestured to the substance of the talks, suggesting that progress could benefit both sides. We'll spend some time and we'll make some deals and we'll do some things that are good for both of our countries, he concluded. And Mark, it's an honour to have you. Thank you very much. Prime Minister Carney responded with a mix of gratitude and resolve. His words conveyed respect for the American leader while subtly highlighting Canada's support for shared international priorities. Thank you very much, Mr. President, Carney began warmly. And if I may, you kindly hosted me and some of my colleagues a few months ago. And I said at the time you were a transformative president. And since then, the transformation in the economy, unprecedented commitments of NATO partners to defense spending, peace from India, Pakistan through to Azerbaijan, Armenia, disabling Iran as a force of terror. And now, and I'm running out of time, but this is in many respects the most important created of Canada and the United. Carney paused, then pivoted to the solemn significance of the day. On this solemn day of commemoration of the horrific attacks of October 7th, for the first time in decades, hundreds of years, thousands of years, this prospect of peace that you've made possible. Canada stands foursquare behind those efforts and will do whatever we can to support them. His statement underscored a message of solidarity with Washington's diplomatic push and with the broader hopes for peace in the conflict-scarred region. The leaders' exchange illustrated the complex blend of personal rapport, policy disputes and global stakes that defined the meeting. While they exchanged warm words in public, both faced mounting domestic pressure. For Trump, the challenge was maintaining momentum in Middle East negotiations while juggling a fragile political environment at home. For Carney, the stakes revolved around securing relief from U.S. tariffs that had weighed heavily on Canadian exports, especially aluminum and steel, while projecting Canada's relevance in peace efforts abroad. Behind these exchanges lay a web of pressing challenges. The United States had imposed steep tariffs on Canadian aluminum, raising rates to 25% earlier in the year and later to 50%, exempting no Canadian producers under the Canada-United States-Mexico agreement. Canada had retaliated with counter-tariffs, but in an effort to de-escalate, had rolled back many of them in September, keeping restrictions only on steel, aluminum and auto imports. The Canadian economy felt the strain, with export figures dipping and the trade deficit widening, while Carney faced increasing calls at home to reach a fair resolution with Washington. For the Prime Minister, the visit carried a dual purpose: demonstrate solidarity with the United States on global peace initiatives and assert Canada's need for fair trade conditions. His words at the White House suggested that he saw the two goals as intertwined, that global stability could complement economic stability, and that Canada's support for diplomatic initiatives in the Middle East might help strengthen goodwill in Washington. Observers noted the symbolic importance of Carney's reference to the October 7th attacks, a tragic milestone that had spurred renewed urgency in peace negotiations across the Middle East. By framing the moment as one of historical significance, hundreds of years, thousands of years, Carney cast the Trump administration's efforts as potentially transformative, a narrative that resonated with both leaders' desire to be seen as peacemakers on the global stage. At the same time, the meeting highlighted the delicate balancing act each leader faced. Trump sought to project optimism about the Gaza negotiations and a possible broader Middle East settlement while not overcommitting on timelines. Carney aimed to convey deference and partnership while pressing, albeit indirectly, for progress on trade disputes. The interplay reflected a blend of pragmatism and political theatre. As the press conference unfolded, the conversation circled back to shared strategic interests. Both leaders stressed cooperation